Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Max, and I am part of the customer success team here at Booksy. So today I'm going to be doing a webinar on how to build your presence online. So that's through multiple different avenues. So I'm just going to wait a moment to see if there's any last minute people joining in. So we'll just wait around for a second. Now, if you have any questions that come up, please do feel free to put them in the chat, and I will come around to them at the end of the presentation. So yeah, please do feel free to ask any questions whatsoever. So just give a few more seconds just in case there's any last stragglers waiting to join. Okie dokie. So there's a few different things that we're going to be going over today. So the first topic that I want to discuss is search engine presence. Different things that can come under this, and the first thing that probably comes to everyone's mind is Google. Then we're going to be taking a look at our own channels. So this will be your own website, the Booksy Profile, and the Booksy Client App. And then finally, we're going to be taking a look at social media. Fairly self-explanatory when it comes to social media these days. So first things first, search engine presence. So Google is, as you can imagine, the world's biggest search engine. Now, did you know that over 70% of the search market share is dominated by Google? So over 70% of pretty much everything that is searched is Googled. So it's fairly obvious that Google is pretty big as a company, and when it comes to their search engine, it's really important to learn how it works so that you can increase the chances of being top result. So whether that is for your website, whether that's for your Booksy account, whatever it is, you want to get higher up in that list. You want to be on that first page of results. You want to be right at the top, even if it is an ad. So 75% of people will never scroll past the first page on a Google search. So with that being said as well, it's your website or in turn your Booksy account is a really great way to entice the clients and turn them into bookings, but it's not much use if no one can see it. So there's a few different things that you can do to cheat the system in a way. So the first thing I'm going to have a look at is long-tailed keywords. So as you can see, I put here, rather than stylist, you'd use something like hairstylist for women's services 2020. So see how that's just an elongated way of saying stylist. So there will be over 1,000 other businesses out there who will have used simple words like stylist or barber as tags on their websites. But not as many will have the example that I've given here of hairstylist for women's services 2020. So I'm not going to expect someone to type in and search for hairstylist for women's services 2020, but having all of those words included will open up more opportunities for people to find you whilst being searched. So someone might have Googled women's services, so you would come up then. If someone Googles hair, you will come up then, hairstylist or hairstylist 2020 and so on. So you're basically just encompassing multiple words so that you have a higher chance of being seen. So with that as well, one thing that is common when it comes to long tail keywords is that you want to avoid using words that are really sort of personal to your own business, unless of course it's to do with location. On your site are correct. The main reason we say this is because if you know, you can have a great website and there might be a town, like we live in Eastbourne, so there might be a town in America called Eastbourne. And if my location tags aren't correct, people might not be aware that I'm in the Eastbourne in England rather than the Eastbourne in America. I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but it's an example. So secondly on this list, I've got update, create, and post. So kind of goes without saying, but the more content on your site, and the more frequently that it is updated and kept up to date, the better. The more that you can entice the customers with nice pictures, and when I say nice pictures, I don't just mean nice pictures of the haircut that you've done or the color. It needs to be a high quality image. The reason it has to be a high quality image is because the higher the quality, the more professional it will look, and the better that will reflect on your business in general, really. Now, I have also put here as well that you can pay to be promoted. Now, this is a fairly touchy subject, and some people will find this kind of taboo in a way, but it is something that you can do. You can pay to be advertised in Google search engine. And what that will do is it will put you pretty much straight at the top. 99% of the time, you're at the top of the top search, depending on what has been searched. Now, it will say ad at the bottom. So some people might automatically always ignore the ads or the advertised websites. But then some people will do the opposite. They'll only look at the advertised websites. So it can be a really sort of 50-50 way of doing it. But the option is always there if that is something that you did want to have a look at, the advertising. Now, don't ask me any questions about that because I don't have a clue. Now, similarly to the Google search engine, Google has a feature whereby you can set up a Google profile or a Google Biz profile. So it's something that is free, it's easy to set up, and it's a massive help in, as I say, turning those clicks into bookings. So to set one up, just search in Google, Google My Business or Google Profile, and you'll be able to set one up. So it will also give you the option of creating a free website. So if you don't already have a website by the time you're creating your Google Biz account, this will be a great place to start. Sometimes websites can be quite pricey depending on the way that you're doing or the way that you set it up. So I'd highly recommend checking out the Google free one, or use a website such as Wix or GoDaddy, because they are usually fairly cheap in terms of the services that they provide. Moving on to the Google profile. So there are still many benefits of having a Google Biz account. If you're not entirely sure what one is, it's essentially when you Google a business, on the right-hand side of the Google page, you'll see a box which has loads of different bits of information about that one business. So if I was to type in, say, Booksy, on the right-hand side, it will come up with Booksy, maybe our address, contact details, and so on, and maybe a short business description, things like that. So some of the many reasons why you would have a Google Biz account include it will help the clients to find your physical location. So obviously Google has Google Maps, and that will obviously integrate with your business. So if you really want to put your business on the map, Google profiles are the way to do it. It will also give you better search visibility in general. So it will just help improve where you are in that search engine. So obviously, if you've got a Google Biz account, it will help to push you higher up in that list. It also, as I mentioned earlier, it will display useful info like contact numbers, addresses, and even your Booksy links, which I will move on to shortly. It will give you customer insights, and it will track your website traffic as well if you're using the Google free website, that is. So this can be a really handy way of seeing, where your clients are coming from, what kind of clients you're getting, the kind of demographic and things like that. So it's really handy, really insightful bits of information if that is the way that your business is inclined. Now, you can also have reviews on Google, on your Google profile. So we'll talk about reviews in more detail in a moment. So Booksy has, as you are hopefully aware by now, Booksy has many integrations with big platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Google. So we have a feature called Reserve with Google, which is a great tool in giving your clients the ability to book directly from a Google search and even Google Maps. So as I say, if I was to type in a business name on Google and their Google Biz profile comes up on the right-hand side, then it should also give me the Reserve appointment button. I can click on that, it will take me straight through to Booksy and allow me to book an appointment. Similarly, if I was looking on a map, and I'm looking on Google Maps, and your business has a Google Biz profile, I can click where you are on the map, and you'll have a little sort of icon and your name. Click on that, and it will again allow me to reserve an appointment through both Google and Booksy at the same time. So Google Biz Profiles quite literally, as I say, put your business on the map. So obviously they have the Google Map integration whereby you'll get a little icon and the business name on the map, which can be really handy, especially if you're in a busy area and people just want to sort of see what the closest sort of shop is to them. They will just open up the map, look on the map, and they can just easily find you that way. So if you're not on Google, if you don't have a Google Biz profile, I'd highly recommend you to get one. So here's a quick example of what you can see. So on the right hand side here, you can see I've typed in Pinups Barber Eastbourne, and on the right hand side in this box, this is what the Google profile essentially is. So as you can see, you've got the reviews from the web option here, which is pulling reviews from Facebook and Booksy. You've got business information here. You've got a map up there. So what I could do is I could click on that. It would show me the tag for Pinups Eastbourne. I could click on that and then reserve an appointment that way. On the left-hand side here, you can see that this is the Booksy account. So it's fairly similar information. It's sometimes might pull the information across. But the one thing that you need to keep in mind if you want to have this reserve with Google feature, as well as having the Booksy reviews on your Google Biz profile, is to have the information that is on your Google Biz profile. So that includes the address, contact numbers, things like that. They must be the exact same to what is in your Booksy account. Otherwise, they will not link. It is an automated process, and without the information matching, it won't link and you won't get the reserve with Google option. So as I just said, there is certain criteria that need to be met when it comes to reserve with Google. So for full clarification, please feel free to reach out or ask any questions now in the chat. But as I say, yeah, you just must make sure that all of the information that is on your Booksy account must match that on your website, social media pages, and of course, if you want the reserve with Google option, your Google Biz profile. So reviews. Reviews are one of the best tools in your arsenal when it comes to promoting your business. So with Booksy, we've made it as easy as possible for any potential clients to see the reviews that you've received. And obviously, as we've just seen, these aren't just visible in the Booksy app, they're also visible in your Google Biz profile. So Reserve with Google also allows us to include your Booksy reviews on the Google results page. So when I'm searching for Pinups Barbers Eastbourne, I not only get information about the business, I not only get their address, contact information, directions to find them, I can also see how other people are thinking of them. So that's not just Booksy reviews, that's coming from Facebook as well. It will, as you saw, divide them, so it's not like putting them together. It will keep them separate, but it will say, 4 out of 5 stars for Booksy, 5 out of 5 stars on Facebook, etc. So with that being said, reviews are some of the first things that the clients will check, just to get a sort of a vague understanding as to how your business runs and what kind of business you're running. So it's really important to encourage your clients to leave as many reviews as possible and on as many platforms as possible. Ideally, you should be getting loads on your Booksy profile, because Booksy in itself will help to promote your business by just simply being on the app. But getting them to leave them on Facebook as well is really key. But yeah, definitely start with prompting them to leave these reviews on your Booksy account. So you should always feel empowered to ask the clients to leave a review. So whilst Booksy does try and encourage the clients to leave a review, asking them if they're willing to leave a review when they're paying or leaving, or even when they're in the chair, is the best way to build up a healthy amount of reviews. So it's definitely something that you should always feel empowered to do it. The clients will never, it's a very rare occasion where they will say no to giving you a nice review. So moving on to the second part of this presentation, we're going to talk about your own channels. So First things first, let's talk about websites. So as I mentioned in part one, your website is a great way to entice the clients and turn the clicks into bookings. But websites can cost a lot of money, but they don't have to cost loads of money. Some will come for free, as we've said, like with the Google one. Although one thing to point out with any free website that you're creating is that you most likely won't get your own domain. So it will usually say something like, let's say I'm doing one through Wix. It will be, say, booksy.wix.com, not just booksy.com, booksy.wix.com. So yeah, you might not always get your own domain with that as well. Something to keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, when you are setting up the Google Biz profile, something I'd highly recommend you to do is that you can create the website for free. Great solutions like Wix, GoDaddy, things like that that you can use, but usually if you're not paying a sort of monthly subscription fee to these kinds of companies, your website can be plastered in advertisements and things like that. So definitely do your research when it comes to looking into the kind of website that you want to build. Might even be the case that you can build one from scratch, and if so, that's great. But yeah, definitely have a look around and see what the best options are when it comes to building a website. So as I put here, your website needs to be a reflection of yourself, your staff, and your business. So it needs to be professional and personable. The end goal of your website is essentially to turn these people, or any person who looks on your website, they need to become a client. That is the end goal of your website. That's the end goal of your Booksy account in reality. It's to get clients, any person who clicks to become a client, essentially. So one thing that you may have already been aware of when it comes to, say, social media like Facebook and Instagram is that we have the ability to put on Book Now buttons through Booksy. So this is special integrations that we've got. But you can also add one in on your website. So widgets and call to action buttons are a lifesaver. They will essentially guide any traffic on your website or social media, for that matter, and direct them into your Booksy account. So then again, those viewers will then become new clients. So essentially, yeah, we call them Book Now buttons, and they can look something like this, depending on the way that you set them up. So it's just in this little image here. So yeah, there is a few different ways that you can get this to look, these widgets or these Book Now buttons. Like this simple one, which just says Book Now powered by Booksy. This one will take you through to your Booksy subdomain, so your sort of profile within Booksy. However, there are other types of widgets which will keep you within your web page and just open up a list of services so that it's easy for the clients to see which appointment they're going for and just book straight in without even having to leave the website. Similar to how the Instagram Book Now button works, if you've seen that before. Here we go. So here's an example. So this is the example of our Instagram widget. So as you can see here, this is just a screenshot of someone's website. So this is kept within their website. I've got a little bit of information about the business up at the top here. And then I've also got the list of services. And I've got these book buttons so I can just simply click in and book straight away without even having to leave the web page. Excuse me, sorry. So yeah, as I say, your website is an excellent way of conveying your brand, letting clients know of any updates, things like that, and just sort of giving a positive reflection of yourself, your business, your staff members, and things like that. So you need to make it like they've walked into the salon when they click on your website. They need to have a bit of an understanding as to the general vibe, but the brand is a really important thing. So I have put a blog post at the bottom, which I will send out along with this webinar to anyone who's missed it, so that you can see, some of the best salon web pages available. So with that blog post that I've attached, the Best Salon Web Pages article is called, shows 55 different salon websites, and you'll notice that for nearly all of them, the Book Now widget is on the front landing page. So you click straight into the website from Google or from whatever search engine you're using, and on that first page, we'll have the Book Now button. So I believe we've got an example here. So as you can see, on all three of these websites, it might be quite hard to see, but you have, this is the first page that I view as a client or as a customer when I'm clicking on the website. And you can see that the Book Now buttons are all on this front page. They all look slightly different in the way that they're laid out. Again, that'll be down to the websites themselves and the way that they're created. But in general, you can see a brief description about the company, some nice high quality images, and then again, front page, you've got this nice Book Now button, which is really important. So remember, you know, the end of the website is turn these clicks into clients. I will keep repeating that. Excuse me, sorry. So moving on to your Booksy profile. So similar to your website, the Booksy profile needs to give your clients a good first impression. It needs to convey your brand and your image, as well as providing your clients with as much information as possible. And the best way to ensure that you're including as much information as possible is to go through the whole of the business profile section of the app. So all you need to do is pull up the app, go to more in the bottom right hand corner, and then go to business profile, and then just slowly work your way through all of the different options that you can ensure that there is nothing missed out essentially when it comes to what your clients will see. So yeah, I highly suggest you to go through that. You basically want to make it idiot proof when it comes to putting in any information. If you feel like your clients won't understand it, there is a chance that the odd client here and there might not understand it. Not saying anything about your clients, but it's the nature of people. Some people will need to have things sort of spoon-fed to them. They will need as much information as possible, because at the end of the day, your Booksy account is there to take away the horrible manual stress and labor of putting in, you know, manual bookings, dealing with phone calls, dealing with messages constantly. So if your Booksy account and your website in particular aren't very clear, then, you know, it's just gonna lead to more messages further down the line. Something that is often missed, but is very incredibly important, is a logo image on the account. So as you can see here, this is just in the business profile section on our test account. There is no logo. You can see that because it just sort of shows you a little camera outline. So it's really important to put in a logo. Having a consistent logo across all of your platforms is key. And it's really important to note that the logo image should always be of high quality. Just like with any image that you're posting on social media, onto Booksy, onto your website, they should always be high quality, because if it's a low quality image, it just gives a bad impression, and it just doesn't look as professional, I'm afraid. So you can add a logo picture into your account by going to more, business profile, company info, and then you'll see this little add logo section there. Workplace photos in a similar vein are also very important. This is a place for you to put in, again, high quality images of the shop, not necessarily pictures of the work that you've done, like cuts and colors and things like that. This is for pictures of the shop to give people a general sort of layout or a general sort of vibe as to how the shop looks, how it runs, and what kind of, you know, brand your company has. So yeah, if you are looking to upload images like pictures of the work that you've done, of the cuts, the colors, the trims, etc., this should all go into the portfolio section of Booksy. Moving on to the portfolio section. So it pretty much does what it says on the tin. It's a portfolio. So this isn't going to be the place that you put in the nice pretty pictures of the shop and the chairs and things like that in the front of the shop. This is for the pictures of the work, the cuts, the colors, the trims, etc. So these will appear at the bottom of your Booksy profile when a client goes on them, rather than the workplace photos, which will appear at the top. So the workplace photos, you only need a few really. You don't need a great amount of workplace photos. They're just to give a general sort of gist of the shop to the clients. And then the portfolio is where you're going to be putting the pictures of the amazing work that you've done. And that is right at the bottom of the page. So the clients will scroll through, have a look at the services, etc., and then see the portfolio section near the reviews as well. Similarly to the logo, staff profile pictures are a really great way of making the Booksy profile just that little bit more personal. Don't get me wrong, it can look very professional, but I think the more important thing about staff member pictures is that they are personal, and it just allows the clients, again, a bit of an insight before they walk into the shop as to what the shop's like, who the staff are like, or what the staff are like, sorry, and who is actually going to be, cutting their hair or giving them that massage, etc. So as you can see here, I've provided an example of a really good example of these staff member profile pictures. So what you want is you want to have a kind of what's the word? You want them to all look similar in a way, but you don't want them to look too similar in a way. So you want them to have, similar lighting, similar backgrounds. You see here how you've kind of got two tones of color, but obviously different faces. This is, ideal. So you can see that it's taken the same time, probably the same camera, it's high quality images, and they look really good. Excuse me, sorry. So moving on, we then have the Booksy Client App. So obviously one of the main premises of the Booksy Client App is to take the manual effort out of booking and arranging appointments. So I'm sure you've all had the experience of the late night messages. Are you free on this day? No, how about this day at this time, blah, 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 blah. You go back and forth, it's like a game of tennis. The whole point of the Booksy app is to get rid of that. Now, the more that you push for your clients to start using the app, the better it will be. Further down the line, they'll become a lot more self-sufficient when it comes to making their own appointments, and essentially that just means less work for you. If you're new to Booksy, you might be struggling to try and get all of your clients to get on board with the new way of booking in, and that's natural. It's natural for any sort of change in anything really. But you as the business owner are the best person to push that and to push that onto the clients. So yeah, the more that you push and encourage them and just support them through that process, it might take a few attempts of getting them to book in. So really try to understand that process yourself as the business owner, understand the way it themselves in, making any change. Yeah, it's definitely key to push the Booksy app as a Booksy Client App as much as possible, because it really will help, just retain some of that time or get some of that time back that you've spent, having these tennis matches of conversations, etc. Here are some ways that you can encourage your clients to use the Client App. So announce your Booksy account. So when I say announce your Booksy account, there's a few different ways that you can do this. You can use our message blast system within Booksy, or you can use your social media pages. Maybe you're already using a mailing system like MailChimp, etc. Send out a big message to let people know that you're now on Booksy, give them a link to the Booksy account, and then get them to get in touch if they've got any questions or issues. And then that's one way of really pushing it to the clients. Put your subdomain link everywhere and anywhere possible. So any sort of business descriptions on social media, any sort of template messages that you have, if you've got an autoresponder set up on social media where it will automatically respond to any incoming messages, this is a really great place to put that subdomain link. Now, if you're not sure what your subdomain link is, it's just a little link to your Booksy account. You can find this by going into settings and then connectors and widgets on the Booksy app. And then, yeah, copy that maybe put it in a note on your phone somewhere so that you've got it sort of easy access. That way, if anyone's ever asking for a link to book in, if they ever can't find you on the app for whatever reason, you can send them this link, and so on. So it's a really great thing to have that link. Another thing to keep in mind as well when you're pushing the client app is to use your digital welcome pack. So if you're not sure what this is, essentially it is a digital pack full of different sort of marketing materials like flyers and leaflets and window stickers. And the more you sort of advertise internally in the shop that you're using Booksy, the clearer it will become to clients. If you're on a busy high street, having a window sticker with the Booksy logo on it just lets people know, quite plain and simple, that this is the new way of taking bookings, especially, with the recent COVID crisis. If you've come from walk-in appointments, materials in the shop will really help you to push that. I mentioned earlier the message blasts, so you can send out an invitation message blast through Booksy to let all of the clients know this is the way you're booking in. Something else that is quite common and quite popular as well is to record on your phone. Really handy if you've got an iPhone, but you can still do it on Androids and other devices. Record your screen in the client app on Booksy, showing people how they can book in an appointment. Just do like an appointment that is, one of the most popular ones. Record that and then put that onto your business on your social media accounts. So you're giving people, you're showing them how they can book in, as well as informing them that this is the new way of booking in. And then that way, if you've got that on your social media, if anyone messages you and asks, which hopefully they won't, because it is a fairly simple process, but if they do message you and ask, how do I book in, you've got that video that you can just send to them. It will be branded to you because it's your account. It won't show anyone else's account. And it's a really great way of, again, encouraging the clients and just teaching them, essentially. Now, of course, the most important thing that you can do when it comes to encouraging your clients to get to grips with the Booksy Client app is to talk to them. So whether that is if they are still phoning you and they're confused and they just want you to book in the appointment and just get it done with, that is a perfect opportunity to explain to them, I can walk you through how to use Booksy. Maybe when you come in for your haircut, I can show you how you do it. If anyone comes in, especially, if it's your first time with a booking system, ask the clients what they think, ask them for their opinion, get feedback from the clients, and just, see how they are finding booking in with Booksy. So yeah, having that conversation with them whilst they're in the chair is a really, really great way of, getting the word out there, basically. Now, moving on to part 3, social media. So as I mentioned earlier, Booksy has a few different types of integrations. So we've got the Google Reserve with Google option, we've got the Facebooks, and we've got Instagram integrations as well. So we're going to be having a quick look into all of these. Let's start with, I don't know what's gone wrong there, Facebook. So as you are probably aware, there are many different benefits when it comes to a Facebook business page. So it's a low-cost marketing strategy. It's a great platform for communication between you and your clients. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a great way of raising or building a brand identity and raising your brand awareness. An important integration that Booksy has with Facebook is the Book Now buttons. Similarly to adding the Book Now widget onto your website, we can add a Book Now button onto your Facebook page. So this Book Now button will take them directly through to Booksy and get them to book in. As I mentioned earlier as well, Facebook does have its own reviewing platform. And if you've linked your business Facebook page to your Google Biz profile, these reviews can be shown on your Google Business profile. Just like with the Booksy reviews, you can see here, just where the arrow is pointing, you've got the Facebook reviews on the left and then the Booksy reviews on the right. To have a Booksy account and your website should kind of be on a similar branding wavelength, your Facebook account or any social media for that matter should be in line with your company's brand key. Again, this means high quality images, the same logos on your website and the Booksy account, and yeah, just the same kind of vibe. If where possible, if you've got brand colors, make a note of what these colors are, make a note of the color codes, save those so that you've got them for later use. Then that way, if you're ever designing any promotional tools, things like that, you've got these brand key colors to hand. So moving on to Instagram, similarly to Facebook, Booksy has the ability to place a book now button on the Instagram page as well. So this is how it looks. You can see on the right hand side, we've got the book button just under the follow button. And then what this will do is, as I mentioned earlier, similar with the website widget, it will take them, it can keep you in the Instagram app itself without taking you out of the app and into the Booksy app to book in. It will keep you within Instagram so that you can just book in straight away from there. Instagram is one of the best ways to engage with your clients. So hopefully we'll be aware of these sort of features that that Instagram offers, and you should definitely be making the most of these. So in your stories on Instagram, you can add interactive elements, and you can choose from, I mean, there's loads and loads and loads of different things you can do, but you can create polls, you can do a Q&A session, you can start a countdown for your next event. So if you've got maybe a promotional event coming up on one weekend, you can do a countdown for that. There's loads of different things that you can do with it. Something else that's probably also important to me, for me to point out, is that Booksy do have their own GIFs on Instagram. So if you're ever, talking about the people can book in on Booksy, etc., do feel free to use the Booksy GIFs that are available. If you are stuck for content when it comes to Booksy, we have, as you can see here, there are loads of different categories to pick from in our social post creator feature. So this social post creator feature is basically like having a graphic designer in your pocket. It will basically just allow you to create some image with a bit of text on it, which you can then share directly to your social media. So you can see here on the left-hand image there, you've got loads of these different categories, and then you can follow it through. You can, it will open up different sort of categories of pictures. So if I click on portfolio picture, for example, that will show me all the pictures in my portfolio. If I clicked on marketing, it would show me all the stock. If I go on reviews, it will show me my reviews in a nice little screenshot sort of format. And then similarly with all the others, I can click on the image I want, can upload them from my camera roll as well, so I don't just have to choose pictures that are already in Booksy. And then I can add the text as I like it, and then just post that straight from Booksy. Some other great apps to use are apps like Canva and Stencil, and they are really good at sort of giving you a graphic design help, basically. So yeah, when it comes to Instagram, it's a really great place to be creative. And if you're using that in line with, with Booksy social post creator feature, there is a lot that you can do with it. Now, moving on to YouTube. So YouTube, you might be like, why is he mentioning YouTube? So creating content for your clients is a great way to not only keep the engagement with your clients, but to also help make a name for your business. So this is really useful if you're a fairly new business, you haven't got much of a client base, and you're just sort of not sure where to start. You've got the talent, you've got the staff that can help. Maybe you have spare time to kill, and you want to make content to show people, this is what my business is about. This is with the kind of service that you're going to be getting when you come to my business, Booksy on the Brain. So yeah, creating content is a great way to not only keep the clients engaged, but as I say, to make business. And YouTube content can range from a variety of things, as I'm sure. So you can have tutorials, particularly useful if people have, just everyone's been doing botched home haircuts. Maybe you've got a revival recipe that you can muster up and you want to let people know about it. Maybe you've got hints and tips into how people can treat their damaged hair after they've been straightening it for 20 years on end. Or maybe, you know, you've already got a bit of a client base and people are asking you the same questions all the time. Maybe you could do a Q&A. There is so much you can do with content on YouTube, and it is a great way of sort of pushing your business further. So don't always discredit YouTube as being a social media source that you can use, because it can be really, really, really helpful. In that vein, it can be very difficult to promote a YouTube channel organically. So here are some steps you can use to increase your views and your subscriptions. So you want to create thumbnail images that draw viewers in. You know, the thumbnail image you choose should be interesting sort of summary of the video. You can sort of pick a moment from within the video to choose as a thumbnail, or you can create one from scratch. I've written ones from scratch using things like Canva to create the thumbnail for the YouTube, and just sort of summarize what the video is about, because that is the first thing someone's going to see, that and the name of the title of the video. So you're going to want to make them stand out, essentially. Giving your videos enticing titles. Now, you want to avoid using clickbait in your titles. So remember that you are promoting your business at the end of the day, and you don't want to lie in any sense in terms of what the content of your video is. You know, we're not YouTubers out here. We are, you know, businesses running salons, running barbershops, etc. This is just sort of a way of promoting our business. We aren't YouTubers. We don't need to use clickbait titles. Use search keywords that show mostly video results from Google. So one particular tool that's really handy is TubeBuddy. This will basically give you can search a category of like a type of video. So you could search like beauty and things like that, and it will give you a bunch of keywords that you can use in your video tags when you're uploading the YouTube video. And again, it will just help drive people into the right direction of your video. Include calls to actions in the video. So include things like DIY and change your look. So something that will actually encourage the viewers to do something. It basically will grab their attention a lot more, and if they're actually doing something, it will keep in their minds a lot longer than if they're just watching a video and then once that video is over, done. If they actually have something to go and do after watching the video, even before watching the video, it will basically keep your engagement a lot higher. Then the last thing that I've got here is that you want to cross-promote your YouTube channel. So with this, you want to promote your YouTube channel on any and everything. So that's Facebook, that's on, if you're using MailChimp, if you're using Booksy, you want to send a message blast out with the YouTube link saying, hi guys, I've just uploaded a new video. There's so many places you can promote your YouTube, and you should, because as you're probably all thinking, you know, YouTube isn't where you would typically go for like a haircut, but you know, if you're promoting this, you can have really great success from YouTube. It might not necessarily bring you new clients, but it will help to build, you know, good brand identity, essentially. Now, similarly to YouTube, you might think that Twitter isn't really the place for, like, especially a local business, but if you're using the platform in the right way, you'd be surprised how far it can get you. So when it comes to Twitter, you'll need to prioritize keeping your account organized. So apologies about the noise. When it comes to Twitter, you'll need to try something like TweetDeck. This basically will just organize the tweets for you, organize the people's tweets that you follow to keep the ones that are more interesting and more sort of applicable up front. If you are someone who gets loads of responses on Twitter, it's a great way of organizing the ones that are most sort of relevant again. And it does loads of different things that can really sort of help organize your Twitter, because Twitter can be quite a messy place, if that makes sense. So when it comes to Twitter, there are some top tips for using it for your local business. So first things first, hashtags. Like with pretty much all social media these days, hashtags are one of the best ways to get your content. Use hashtags for your local area, like say hashtag Eastbourne, hashtag East Sussex, things like that. And for obviously your business and the business category you're in, hashtag barber, hashtag skin fade, hashtag sick cuts, things like that, and so on. Second thing, photos, GIFs, and polls. Similarly with like the Instagram sort of things that you can do on Instagram, it's basically just a great way of keeping the clients engaged. And it will also help you to get, especially in regards to polls, it will help you get opinions from your clients, which can help you develop and grow your business in a multitude of different ways. Handle problems via DM. Now, obviously, hopefully you won't be having any issues with like a negative response on Twitter. But if that is the case, if someone does tweet you, with a negative sort of experience that they've had or something similar, the best thing that you can do is handle that outside or in the DMs, sorry, rather than actually responding to them, because you're just going to be drawing more attention to them. I think the only time that you'll usually ever see a big business, so I'm thinking like ASOS, things like that, the only time they ever respond to negative tweets is to say, oh, hi, I'm sorry to hear this, can you please check your DMs? And then they will have DM'd them. So yeah, always handle your problems in the DMs. Interaction. Now, interact with as many influencers and clients as possible. So people who are sort of big in your field, interact with them as often as possible. Interact with, if you know of clients, interact with them as much as you can, and then just interact with as many people on Twitter as possible, because in general just will bring a lot more attention to your account. As I mentioned earlier, with Google, you can pay to be promoted on Twitter. Again, you'll be pretty much prompted you're forced into people's timelines so that people are sort of forced to see you, and it will say promoted, I believe it says at the bottom of the tweet. So you can pay to promote individual tweets, you can pay to promote their account full. And yeah, so there is a few different ways that you can do it. Again, don't ask me about the pricing for that, because it will vary depending on what you want. And yeah, there's loads of different ways that you can do it. But in that vein, whatever you do, and this goes for pretty much every social media channel, don't buy followers. So yeah, it is very tempting to buy followers and to make it look like you have more followers than you actually do, but it is not worth it at all. The followers that you get aren't real, and therefore they're not going to interact with your posts and things like that. And you're also going to run the risk of other people seeing it, buying followers, and it doesn't look especially if you're a business, having fake followers just doesn't look good. It leaves bad taste in people's mouths, and yeah, it's just not necessarily worth it. So, final bit here. So I've got some sort of general tips for you. So this goes for social media in general, really. So first things first, you want to upload to social media multiple times a day. So Facebook has an algorithm whereby only 10% of your followers will see any given post. So this means that you'd need to post 10 times a day for all of your followers to see one post. So you want to basically post as much as possible. I would say posting 10 times a day is a bit overkill, and you'll run out of content to post pretty quick. Posting, 2 to 3 times a day is much more doable, and it will still have a good effect on the amount of people that will see your content. You want to use your subdomain link everywhere, in every post that you put, in every business description, in every social media description. Anywhere that you can put it, you want to put a link to your Booksy account, because the more places that people can go and be directed to your Booksy account, the better. and yeah, it will just make your life 10 times easier. So again, if you don't know where to find that subdomain link, it is in the settings of Booksy, connectors and widgets, and then I think it's the top option called subdomain link, or your personal link, and then yeah, you can just click on that. I'll copy it, and I would save it into a note on my phone, so I've got it somewhere easy to reach, etc. But it's up to you. Then we've got setting up autoresponders. So I briefly went over this earlier, but you can set up a message on social media. So I believe this is on Facebook and on Instagram. You can do this. You set up a message to be automatically sent out to anyone who messages in. Usually it's something to say, oh, we're either a bit busy at the moment, so we're not going to be able to answer as quick as possible, or I will try and get around to it as quick as I can, etc. And then you're going to have subdomain links. So you can put, in the meantime, please have a look through the Booksy, through my Booksy account, and see if that answers any of your questions, etc. And hopefully, yeah, it will answer any questions that they've got, and then they'll book in straight away, pretty much. Similarly, you'll want to put in the subdomain in the autoresponder if you've already got them set up. So do go back and change them and put in and include that subdomain link. You can customize it to an extent, the subdomain link, so do definitely check out the connectors and widgets section of the settings. And then finally, you can set up a QR code that directs people to your Booksy account. So when it comes to creating a QR code, there are free apps to use out there, like QR code generator. So it's pretty simple to do. You could just use a subdomain link to generate the QR code essentially, and then yeah, you can plaster that everywhere. So maybe again, get a window sticker, put that up in the shop, post it on social media, things like that. Maybe post them around town if you're allowed to do that legally. And yeah, just get the word out there that you are now using Booksy, and this is the way that your business is going to be running from now on. So, it doesn't look like we've got any questions at the moment, so that's good. I'll give it a few seconds to see if anyone had any last-minute questions here. But in the meantime, I hope you have found today's session useful. I hope, we've covered quite a lot in today's session, and I hope even if it's just that one thing that you can take away from it, and it proves beneficial to you and your business, then I know I've done my job and I can sleep tonight. But yeah, so it doesn't look like we do have any questions have come in yet. If any crop up after watching this, maybe you're watching it on YouTube or something, do feel free to leave a question in the comments, or to get in touch with us using the in-app help chat on Booksy. But that is all for now. So as I say, my name has been Max, and if you have any further issues or questions, please do get in touch with our help chat in the app. We have also released recently an e-learning center, which you can find within the app, which is basically a library of multiple different video tutorials and things like that. So it can be really helpful if you're ever in a pinch and you're just not sure on a certain feature, or you have a question, etc. Then definitely do feel free to check out our e-learning center, or similarly go to our YouTube page at Booksy UK. Thank you very much, guys, and I shall leave you to it.